back to Less Lethal Contingencies. Ellen here. So tonight what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a deconstruction instruction. Does that make sense? A deconstruction instruction of my Mercury Rise IntruBuster Generation 2 Terminator Carbine. Yes, I know that's a mouthful. Anyways, it's my Terminator Carbine build for my IntruBuster Gen 2. Okay, been getting some questions lately, some viewer comments about, maybe doing a video, like a breakdown video on the components that I'm using for the Terminator Carbine. I do have a listing along with links, as long as they're, until they become dead, I suppose, those links in the description field of most, if not all, of the videos that I have showcasing the Terminator build or Carbine build. So I've been getting questions about, the components themselves, asking for kind of like an instruction. So since I do need to do some testing tomorrow of the new X68 Picatinny bolt and valve in my IntruBuster, I'm going to put the IntruBuster back to stock, reinstall the stock 689 barrel, and test it out tomorrow with all bone stock, 12 gram CO2, regular back cap, and I'm going to test it out, like I said, bone stock, other than the fact that it's not going to have the IntruBuster valve in it, bolt and valve. It's going to have the new upgraded Gen 2 Picatinny X68 bolt and valve in it. So since I need to do some testing, I got to break it down, decommission, if you would, temporarily the Terminator build. So that I can do that, I figured, why not make a deconstruction video? Okay, so in tonight's deconstruction video, I will go over the, specifically things like the quad rail M4 handguard. It comes in two pieces, how I assembled it, essentially how I was able to, fit it to this particular marker. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, guys. So video could be a little lengthy, but I'll do my best to kind of keep it as short as possible. So here, lying in front of us here is essentially the Terminator Carbine build, okay? Minus the air tank, of course. Okay, so let's start with breaking it down. Let's see what we're gonna do. Yeah, let's start with removing the 6-inch MCS Reaper suppressor. Okay, so that we have on the end of the 12-inch barrel. So we're going to unscrew the Reaper suppressor, which adds feet per second. Pretty straightforward. There we go. There's the Reaper. Now we're left with the 12-inch barrel. So I had already loosened it up. I don't normally keep it this loose, but I loosened it up off camera so that I wouldn't have to be wrestling around with it. However, what I use to loosen it up so that I don't mar my barrel up is I use these non-marring channel locks. Okay, probably best 30 bucks I ever spent, maybe. I don't know, maybe not, but they seem to work pretty good. Sometimes you can't get enough. If something's really tight, then they'll slip a little bit. In those cases, what I'll do is I'll get a regular pair of channel locks, and I'll use those, but I'll use those over a rag, for example. I'll put a rag over first, and that'll protect it pretty much. But this is my first go-to, and comes in pretty handy. All right, so back to removing the barrel. Now, this may come out in one piece, even though it consists of two pieces, this 12-inch barrel, or it may come out in two pieces, and it feels like it just came out in two pieces. All right, yes it did. I was hoping it was going to come out in one piece, but the inner 4.5-inch threaded barrel is in there pretty tight. So this barrel here is actually a barrel extension. It's a stainless steel MCS barrel extension that they sell for the Picatinny X68. I've been using this to extend my aluminum 4.5-inch threaded barrel that I also got from MCS for the IntruBuster Gen 2. The steel barrels, they're 685, and the aluminum that they sell, the aluminum barrels are 686. So what I ended up doing was just picking up a 12 gauge barrel hone, and I was able to hone it out just a little bit. You know, it goes on your drill, cordless drill, and you just go back and forth with some oil in there, and you just hone it down. And I kept honing it and polishing it until I could fit these 685 steel ball bearings with ease, and also the 8-gram jewels of 685 as well. Once I could run these down the barrel just fine, as you can see, then pretty much I was satisfied. I wanted it to be as close as match as possible to the 686 aluminum barrel. Okay, so I did that to both of my 7.5-inch extensions that I have. All right, so that is the 7.5-inch stainless steel extension and the Reaper. Okay. Now, I can't get my hands in there right now to get the rest of the barrel out, so we'll do that after we take the hand guard off, okay? 12 millimeter right here, 12 millimeter ratchet wrench, or if you have a socket, that's what the Picatinny, I could never pronounce this word the first time, Picatinny, low profile 5-inch long Picatinny rail here. That's what I'm using to actually connect the quad rail, and the quad rail stands for quad or 4 Picatinny rails that are built into the handguard, the M4 handguard here. Actually, let's point this out, right? So you got one underneath, one on the other side, and the top, right? So it's a quad rail. And I am coupling, if you would, for lack of another term, coupling this quad rail with the IntruBuster Gen 2 via a Picatinny, low profile Picatinny 5-inch long rail here, okay? It basically clamps onto the Picatinny rail on the quad rail handguard, and then it also clamps here onto the existing Picatinny rail that's built into your IntruBuster Gen 2. Okay, also mounted to this rail, I'm not going to bother taking it off. I'm not making more work for myself tomorrow when I have to put it back together. But I will explain it out. Also is the foregrip I'm using here through these 2 Torx screws is also mounted to this Picatinny rail. Okay, as you can see, pretty straightforward. You know, there's the foregrip right there, and then I also have the MCS foregrip spare mag holder that was initially released for the Picatinny X68. It works on here just fine, and that's actually just, I had to modify it a little bit with a Dremel just to open up the inside the printed plastic, and then I just pushed it on. So that's on there good. It ain't going nowhere easy. I can take it off, but I'd really have to put some effort into it. It also fits nice without effort right on the gun's built-in lower pick rail. Okay. To make it a little easier for me so I'm not tripping over Picatinny all the time. Picatinny, yeah. Okay. If I call it a pick rail, you know what I'm talking about, right? Pick is short for Picatinny, okay? My loose translation, okay? It's just going to make it easier for me to go through this. All right, so the built-in pick rail here is how we are coupling the M4 quad rail. Also, we're mounting this foregrip here on there. You could put any style you want. You could put, you know, a pure vertical one. I mean, the sky's the limit, whatever you like, okay? And then we have our MCS mag holder foregrip as well. Right here, I have the Solarfish green laser mounted right here. It also has a built-in riser, pick riser, in case you wanted to add another optic. I was running it before actually back here with this CVLIFE dot optic on top of it. So, I mean, you can do a lot of things with it. You could mount it on the side if you want. You could mount it, you know, really whatever you want to do. I decided to mount it over here. And yeah. But what we're going to do next is we're going to take this off with a 12 millimeter. And although it's really tight because I cranked this thing down really good to make sure there was no movement whatsoever. So we're just going to loosen this back one up. Now I could loosen this one as well, but this is, rather than take it all apart to ease in reinstallation tomorrow after I'm done testing the gun by itself, I'm going to leave this one on. I'm just going to loosen this up. Again, 12 millimeter. Now, they have different versions of this 5-inch pick rail, low profile. Not all of them come with this nut. I would recommend getting the one with the nut, not with the one that takes a screwdriver or just a finger screw, because you do need to apply a lot of torque on it here to clamp this properly. So if you're going to get something like this, I'm pretty sure the link I have in most of the video descriptions is the link for this specific one. But just make sure that if you're going to buy it, get the one with the regular nut, hex nut on it, because you really need to crank that thing down good and put some torque on it so that it's not loose, okay? So we're just going to loosen this up. Once I do that, I should be able to, there we go, nice and easy, okay? All right, so here you have it, okay? So it's that easy too. If you wanted to strip it back down and, you know, shoot it without it, just take the extension out, loosen that up, you know, just take it right out. You want to go back in, you just put it back in, crank it down really good, okay, like I said, so that you don't have a lot of movement on here. All right, so here you have it, okay? I'm going to leave my laser on there because I'm probably just going to use the iron sights tomorrow just to do that quick little test I want to do. And just want to see how it runs with the stock barrel with the X68 bolt and valve assembly. Again, another viewer of mine had asked if I could run a test like that, and I figured, hey, why not? It gives me a reason to shoot, right? I shoot every day. I love it. All right, so now that I have the M4 handrail apart, it's an aluminum handrail. Okay, again, it's called a quad rail because it has 4 pick rails on it. But see how it's actually in 2 pieces. Okay, there's a top and a bottom. Okay, and it fits together, and it comes with, one side's got threaded holes, the other side has, you run the screws through. Now, in order, you know, this is designed obviously not for the IntruBuster Gen 2, right? It's designed to be a replacement on a M4 type rifle or maybe a paintball gun that's already has this type of rail system. So in order to center it the best I could, the barrel that is, so it wouldn't drag up here, what I did is when I put it together, I found a couple nuts that I had the right size, and I just basically, actually, you know what? That's right, they weren't nuts. Now that I'm looking at it, I kept thinking they were nuts. I tried that first, but I didn't have the right size. What I ended up using was these M-lock nuts. For some reason, I found myself with a bunch of M-lock, you know, the ones that go in here on the M-locks, extra M-lock nuts, right? The threaded part. So it worked out the hole inside was the perfect diameter for the screws that came with this to go right through. So I just basically used them like shims. Now you could use nuts, you could use whatever you could find, but these worked out good. It's something I had laying around in the drawer. I don't know if you can see that. Everything's kind of black, so, but right in here, I got 2 M-lock nuts that I'm using as shims, okay? This is the threaded side of the half. So that's the Allen key side right there. Okay, you can see an Allen key. This is the threaded side of the top right here. And let me get some light on it for you. All right, this is the threaded side right there. You can see right here. All right, those are just two M-lock nuts that I'm repurposing as shims. Okay, and there's your hex Allen key screw. Okay, so that's what it looks like in each of the four corners, right? I got two more right here, two more of the M-lock nuts right there. On the back, same thing. Okay. Hopefully you can, it's coming out on the camera. And that's all I'm doing there. I'm just using those as shims. They worked out great. Two in each corner. Worked out really good for me. What it did was it just kind of brought this out more so that the barrel would be more centered. It's not perfectly centered. I mean, you could play around with yours if you wanted to build something like this and maybe find something else to use as shims so that you could perfectly center it. But it was close enough to me. It was better. I didn't want it dragging on the barrel, was kind of my point. So, all right, so that's it. I mean, this is the foregrip right here for the Terminator build. Okay, very easy to take on and off just by loosening this. Again, make sure you get the one that has these hex, because you will need to apply a lot of torque to put it back on to make sure it doesn't move. And that's it. When you go to put it back on, like I said, just put it in there, crank it down, put your barrel extension in, you know, and you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so that's that piece. Okay. All right. And I guess I could leave the dot optics on there if I want, but I think I might just, yeah, maybe I'll leave it on for now. Yeah, I might shoot with it tomorrow. All right, so the other part of this is the aluminum 4.5-inch threaded barrel. And I know that bugger's in there pretty tight. So let's see if I can get it off by hand. No, it doesn't look like it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try these non-marring jaws first. If that doesn't work, we're gonna put a rag on it because we don't want to ruin these threads. Yeah, it's moving. Fantastic. Okay. Very good. All right, here we go. So this is the aluminum 686 4.5-inch barrel from MCS. This was pretty good. This was like 45 bucks. That's all this was. I figured, you know what, let me go that route. And then I already knew I had these extensions for my Picatinny that I could reuse because they're the same 22 millimeter. So I was like, you know, why spend a bunch of money? I'll just, if I want to keep it short, I can keep it short. If I want to just run it with the Reaper directly, which I have videos of me shooting it this way, or with another one of the muzzle brakes I have, or I can extend it. I can put 2 extensions on it, and then I got a 19-inch barrel. But with this and the 7.5, that's 12 inches. Okay, so there's that. There's that. Okay. So here is my factory original 689 IntruBuster Gen2 barrel. Okay. Just so that if you want to see. All right. There's the difference between the 4.5 threaded and the little baby barrel that you get from Mercury Rise with the IntruBuster Gen2. Okay, so, but we are going to put that in there for safekeeping, I guess. We're going to temporarily reinstall this factory barrel so we can do a factory barrel test tomorrow. Okay. Oh, I robbed the O-ring from it, didn't I? Yeah, the O-ring's not there to seal anything, guys. It's just there to act like a lock washer. So Do you need one? Yeah, just throw, throw in another O-ring you might have laying around. I don't know. I usually have some O-rings kicking around. My Captain O-ring kit or something. Just, you could throw, if you're concerned about it, you could do that. Again, it's not there to seal the barrel. It's just there to act like, put a little resistance so it doesn't back out on its own. All right, so we'll do that. I could have ran it without it too, because I'm not going to be running it very long. Tomorrow afternoon, this will be right off the gun again, and I'll be converting it back to the carbine. All right, but we'll just do that. Put that on there. I like to look down in here anytime you're doing that with an O-ring to make sure it didn't squish out. Some of these real soft O-rings, they can squish out, and I don't want it sticking out. Or if you look down inside the mag well, you can see, and it's always a good idea, I like to do it, you can see down there where that barrel comes right into the breech. Take a look in there and just make sure the O-ring ain't, I mean, there's no way the O-ring should be visible because it's further down the threads, but it's good just to take a look and make sure your barrel's seated fully. Okay, so you can see right down in there. Right down inside there, you can see a little black part. That's the barrel. So I know it's seated in there properly. Okay. I like to look at that stuff, so yeah. All right, so factory barrel's reinstalled. Just going to take this. Sometimes this can be on there pretty good too. All right, well, this is this twist on and off valve. Let's take that off the rear ASA. This is the Home Defense tuning ASA, their long version, okay? And let me see if I can loosen it up with this. Wow, that's on there good. I only put that on there hand tight, but it has a way of just tightening up on its own. All right, so I usually try these first, but these non-marring ones, they don't have that much grip. So if that don't work, and I take my channel locks, and because I don't like the way this looks, all scraped up and nasty, and sometimes you can't help it, and I got a little black touch of paint I can use on there anyways, but I'll use a rag like that, and I'll still grip it where the little grippers are. Wow. Incredible how this thing can be so tight. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. Come on. Oh, there we go. Holy moly. Whew. Holy guacamole, Batman. Oh. All right. Shouldn't have been that tight, but... And I did not use any kind of crazy Hulk powers or whatever you want to call it, right? Trying to squeeze this thing down. It just has a way of tightening up on its own. Anyways, so I did that. I used a rag, as you saw, and a pair of channel locks. Most of the time, I can take it right off with my hand afterwards. All right. So I'm just going to unscrew the Home Defense 24 tuning ASA. We're going to put that aside because, again, all this is going right back on tomorrow after I'm done doing a 6-round test. And I'll probably be using those new lightweight 5-gram, the blue balls, those hammer rounds from AR Tactical. I think I'll be using this because I definitely want to use a lighter. I was thinking of using the Alien Play because I always get my best numbers with the Alien Play, the 7.3 solid aluminum. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I might still do that. I don't know. Or maybe I'll do both. But these things were whizzing, man. The other night when I did that video with the, what was it, like 114 joules or something? When I did it with the 700 PSI HPA and the 12-inch barrel with the Reaper suppressor. Yeah, I mean, those things were flying like 600 feet per second. Actually, no, more than that, right? Oh hell, I forget now. But they were humming. They were humming. So I don't know. I might use those too, or maybe I'll do two tests. One with the alien play. Reason why I was thinking the alien play is because I already have data on that, right? Early on, before I did anything to this gun, didn't have a rear ASA for it, didn't have a barrel for it, didn't have anything for it but an optic, I think. I may not even have an optic, maybe just a laser or something. What I did was, yeah, I was doing a test of some various ammo. I think I was doing the smashers, the less lethal ballistic smashers, the 8.5, the 7.3 aluminum, and I think another one, another ammo. I forget now. And I was watching that video back because I wanted to use an ammo that I've tested with before, so I can see, is there going to be a difference between the Picatinny X68 bolt and valve? Are we going to see an increase at all? Or is it just going to be a wash? You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be an increase, but it'd be pretty interesting if there is. So I rewatched that video I did, and with the alien play, I remember the 7.3 gram solid aluminum gave me my best numbers in this marker when it was bone stock with 12 grams CO2 in the handle. It gave me 6 shots. It gave me 374, 362, 352, 342, 330, and then the last shot 322. You know, so I was at 47. My hot shot, first shot was 47.43 joules. You know, and that was with the alien play. And that alien play is a .682 size ammunition. You know, so I was thinking, I should probably use the same ammo in this test, and the only thing that would be different would be the introduction of the upgraded Picatinny X68 bolt and valve. So I probably will do that. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll run another CO2, change CO2s and try those hammer rounds as well while I have it in stock configuration. But anyway, so I want to compare, ultimately I want to compare. Again, it was another viewer that asked me to do this test, and you know, I don't say yes to every viewer that asks me to do stuff. Well, almost I do. I guess so far I have, I think. Anyways, maybe one or two of you out there that asked for something I haven't gotten around to it yet. It all depends on what I get on my schedule to do with these things. But and I don't mind if it's within reason, you know, and something I can do, and I already have the stuff, that I don't mind running a test. If it helps you out, you know, helps the community out, then that's cool. Yeah, so I got the numbers right here. I want to see if we can do better than this with the X68 bolt and valve assembly. So that is the point of that, for me anyways. Now, as far as the viewer that asked me, you know, if I could test that, it may be he's mulling around the idea of doing a modification like this. Maybe if it yields, you know, more power, I don't know. Again, I didn't do this modification for it to yield more power necessarily. I mean, if it does, and I think it probably does, wonderful. But really, I was aiming at getting more reliability out of it. Specifically, not reliability with the factory parts, because the IntruBuster Gen 2 bolt and valve and its own back cap, you know, I don't know that it's not reliable. Where my issue came into play, and others, we were shooting O-rings out of our barrels constantly with these, you know, these ASAs. So I wanted to use a Picatinny X68 valve so that I know works and doesn't shoot O-rings out. So that's why I wanted to convert it. And going back to that steer and compare video that I did between the two bolts and valve assemblies a couple months ago, as far as I can tell, I couldn't see any reason why you couldn't use the X68 bolt and valve in here. So needless to say, hey, I got around to trying it, and I bought a spare, and it's still in there right now, just so you guys can see, in case we have any naysayers out there. We don't have any naysayers in this community, do we? No. All right. just to show you what's in here now and what indeed is going to be in this gun when I test it tomorrow. And it's been in the gun for the last 2 videos. I'm just going to take it out and show you that this is the X68 bolt. And I want to inspect it anyways. I've inspected it once before, but I just like to inspect it for wear to make sure nothing's wearing funny on it, because, you know, just because. But you can see, how can you tell the difference between IntruBuster Gen 2 bolt and an X68? Right there, guys. That's the only way you can really tell, is the presence of that bolt tip O-ring, okay, sealing O-ring. And the first time I shot it, it didn't have the O-ring on this bolt. I had taken it off. The second time I shot it, I put the O-ring back on, and it works either way, you know. So I figured, hey, let me put it back on, and that's it. And one thing I did notice, funny enough, is, and I don't know if I mentioned this on another video. I may have mentioned it on that last video. But you know how with the X68, I mean, other than Sean's X68, his Pistelli, because, I don't know, he must have done something to it, maybe changed the bolt, I don't know. But for whatever reason, he says he doesn't have to pull the trigger on his any longer. So I don't know if something's changed. Maybe it has something to do with, oh hell, I don't know what it has to do with. But I will say this much. I never had to pull the trigger, and I don't think anybody else did, to finish screwing on that back cap on the IntruBuster Gen 2 like you have to do on the X68, and for that matter, the BP50, same design. You got to pull the trigger. All right? So I never had to do that on this until I introduced the X68 bolt in here. So the only thing I can figure is there is a very, very marginal, slight difference in where the that little, I don't know what they would call it, groove, or I guess a groove, where the sear catches the bolt. When the bolt comes back and the sear catches it, that, even though I measured both bolts and the measurements look pretty spot on, identical, there's got to be something slightly different, because when I put this bolt in here, you'll watch and see. Right, I'm going to put the factory back cap piston assembly back on, right? Let me see if I can get it started this way. Ah, that worked out good this time. I got lucky. Sometimes it could be a pain in the butt. All right, 4mm Allen key. Now watch this. Right? Never had to do this before until I put this. Now that's about it. Right there, it starts getting tight. Right? It starts getting tight. Listen to the click. Okay? Just like the X68. So now I could tighten it up the rest of the way. Okay? I forgot to oil that O-ring. I wanted to oil that really good, because the last time I did this and didn't oil it, it leaked on me. I did put a new O-ring on it since then, though, on that back cap. But let's just make sure it's oiled. Why not, right? We want to be successful with this test. Let's get some of my Super Lube silicone oil. And let's just make sure that's lubricated. There we go. Making a mess. Let's put a little lubrication on the 011 O-ring. All right, what I like to call the firing pin. I think they call it the piston. I guess I can see that. It's like, acts like a piston or a plunger, right? I like to call it a fire pin, kind of like after the Ulmerix designs. All right, so that's all lubricated good now. I'm just going to start that. Now that pretty much seated the bolt and valve assembly into the marker, I may not need to pull that trigger again, I bet. But if I do, we'll pull it. Yeah, see, I didn't have to pull it that time. Okay, so it might be very well just be until the bolt and valve seats, the sear gets in the way. So by pulling the trigger, you hear the click, the sear drops down a little bit. It doesn't fully drop down because I don't think that operates until you're under pressure. It's fully. And that's it. And we're set to test this puppy tomorrow. Yeah, that's right, guys. We are going to test this almost factory configuration of the Mercury Rise IntruBuster Generation 2 68 caliber marker. All right, so we're back to factory other than the internals. Okay, so we got Pistelli internals on an otherwise factory IntruBuster Gen 2. And we'll give that a try tomorrow. Yeah. I might leave the optic on there. It's sighted in, so maybe I'll just use that. I'll be using the X-radar tomorrow, though, I think, rather than the. So there's no. I don't want. It's a brand new cranny. I don't want to shoot that thing again, man. I blasted that thing so bad. Like what was it? A month ago? 3 weeks ago or something? I blasted my old cranny. Freaking annihilated that thing so bad. Busted the circuit board all up and everything. It was no way I was repairing that. Like literally snapped the circuit board inside in half. Yeah. So, and I just clipped it the other day. I don't know how I did it. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Sometimes when I first shoot these after modifying them, I will confess, I'm a little nervous. My adrenaline's flowing. And, you know, because it's the first time I'm firing after I just screwed around with it. I don't know if the thing's going to blow up in my hand or not. You know, so naturally my adrenaline's flowing and I'm a little anxious and I think that's what happened. I was probably a little shaky. At least that's what I'm guessing happened. So I shot just to the left of the cranny. The wires, you know how the wires come up like a V, and then you got the LED strip that screws across the top of these crannies. Well, you could see it's like a little bent. I mean, you can't see it from the camera, but when I inspected it. So I shot just to the left of that front left rod that comes up out of the chronograph. And just clipped it there. And believe it or not, that's why I get it read, but it read like 43. What was it? Well, it was like 300 and something feet per second or something like that. It ended up being like 43 joules. There's no way in hell it was 43 joules. That was my hot shot. The second shot was 113, I think, or 114, something like that. So, yeah, and it was like almost 500 feet per second. That was with the 10 gram, the red 10 gram hammer rounds. So you know that was rocking and rolling, man. That thing was humming, and you know, so it's. I'm surprised I even read it all because I wasn't shooting right down the middle. Somehow I managed to. I must have been shaky, and it just grazed the left side of that first rod. Anyways, I know I'm rambling on, guys. I know. Please don't leave me comments about it either. I've heard enough of these comments. Guys, blows my mind that guys leave comments like that. You talk too much. Like, honestly, dude, like, why do you bother? Don't get it. Anyways, that's what we're going to do tomorrow. So stay tuned for more. Okay? So that is, like I said, pretty much factory except for the internals. The internals are X68 internals. We're going to test that tomorrow with alien play. Once I shoot off a magazine of alien play 7.3 gram solid aluminum, you know, so I can compare it to these numbers that I have from a couple months ago when I shot the gun stock with the solid aluminum rounds. We'll see if we have an increase in power or not. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see an increase if it's comparable. I would think it'd at least be comparable. I mean, we were doing pretty good with the alien play a couple months, you know, from stock. It was, I mean, a hot shot was 47, almost 47.5 joules. I mean, you can't complain about that. I mean, with solid aluminum rounds, I mean, there's still a lot of good kinetic energy there. So anyways, this has been long enough. Signing off, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. Stay tuned for the test for tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Peace out.